You can be the best automator in the world, but if you can't actually get on a call and sell, then I hate to say it and it's going to sound mean, but you're going to stay broke. So this video is everything I've learned in the past 5 years. It's a quick crash course in how to actually sell AI automations, land clients, and actually get paid for the skills that you've got in building these automations. A lot of people tell you need to have the gift of the gab, or you just need to be a smooth talker. That's not true. You need a process, a structure, and you need the right skills. So let me show you mine. So my first sales role was recruiting on behalf of blue chip clients at events. Like, I could even just be in shopping centers or, big events and stuff like that, where people aren't there to speak to you. They don't want anything from you. It's just completely cold, stopping people, say in the street or because they're coming out of a shop, something like that, and trying to actually sell or promote these blue chip clients that I was trying to sell on behalf of. And you can imagine how tough that is. So when I first went into it, my sort of perception of this was Wolf of Wall Street selling. And I knew salespeople had that reputation. And I thought the same. I thought I could just pressure people into buying what I was selling. And I couldn't be more wrong. I used that approach. I quickly figured out that 1, it didn't work, and 2, it just really did not suit my personality. It didn't suit the way I wanted to speak to people, the way I even did speak to people. So I tried listening to my sales managers that were just trying to sell the same old boiler room sales tactics. I tried reading sales books of gurus, and none of that, say, traditional advice actually worked with me. And I wasn't making money. It was commission only. I couldn't go to the bank and cash in on excuses like the leads weren't good, or there wasn't a high footfall, or people just weren't interested, or the economy is tanking. I've never been one for excuses, so the only option left was to just figure it out for myself. And what I'm about to teach you is the past 5 years of me figuring it out. So the way I like to sell is through being quite consultative, but playing on emotion and using dialogue and my own tonality, because you're actually the most persuasive when we get others to persuade themselves. So you have to learn specific questions, questioning, what to ask them, when to ask those questions, and actually how to ask those questions in a specific structure. And that's what I teach a lot of in my community. I have a whole section on a sales masterclass. I give them my script so everyone can actually go out, use that script, ask the right questions at the right time. I give tips on tonality, and it really gets that prospect to open up and want to go below the surface, right? Not just them surface level questions like, what's the number one challenge you're facing? What keeps you up at night? If you had a magic wand and could wave it wherever you wanted in the business, what would you change? There's surface level. We want to get below the surface. So step 1, they're on the call. And to be honest, I change from time to time. Sometimes, especially if I know it's a short call, it's like half an hour, but I know it can sometimes go on a bit longer. I'll just get straight into it. And I'll just say, I know there's only half an hour. There's actually quite a lot for us to go through and for me to understand. So do you mind if we just crack on and start now? But other times, and this is really common. Most people like a bit of small talk. They like to get to know the person who's on the other end, because again, it is cold email, and it's a good way. I'm not going to say not to do this. A lot of people will say not to do this, but realistically, just get on the call and get to know them a little bit. Spend 1 or 2 minutes just sort of asking. Don't ask about the weather and stuff like that. Ask where they're based, how long they've been there, how long they've started the business, and then start transitioning into business-based questions. Oh, they might say something that you say, okay, Is that why we're on this call then? And then you can start triggering in the conversation, right? And start getting back into the business needs and why you're actually on that call. Now, another important thing I teach in the community is actually picking up the phone and calling leads, right? If someone's responded positively and let's say, instead of just saying, sure, send more info, or sure, let me see a video, they've actually responded with showing some kind of interest, like, this looks great. Say you've reached out with a hyper-personalized system and they've said, thank you so much for taking the time. Give it a couple minutes, and if they've got their number in the signature, pick up the phone to them, dial it and pick up the phone. And this is what you're going to say. You're going to have to say, like, hey, name, this is just Ben with Centrix Automations. I think you just responded to an email I sent out asking us to call you back about possibly getting some outside help with actually generating more leads using AI. Is that right? And she'll go, "Oh, Ben, that was the best email I've ever seen." She'll just reiterate whatever she said. And I'll just say, "Oh, have you got a couple minutes? I've just got a couple minutes between meetings myself. Just thought I'd give you a quick call because that was such a lovely email you sent back." She'll go, "Yeah, yeah." And you can just say, "Cool. So what was it about that initial email that actually attracted your attention?" Get an understanding for what it is she really liked about it, not just the sort of personalization, but what she really liked. And then you can say, "Okay, now this call's just going to be really basic. I just want to find out what it is exactly you're doing now, what results you're getting compared to maybe what you're wanting." I don't know why I'm doing this because you're on a phone call, and say hello to my dog. Just to see what that gap looks like. And then if towards the end of the call you feel like it could be the answer, we can talk about next steps and jump on another call. Would that help you? Like, yeah, of course that'll help. Yeah, let's do it. I've got a couple minutes, let's do it. And then you go into the sales script that I'll get onto later on. But really, your first set of questions is your deep understanding phase. You really need to understand their current situation so you can help uncover problems that they might not even know they have. For example, you can say things like, "So what are you doing now to generate leads if you're selling the lead gen system? How long have you been doing it that way? What made you go down cold calling instead of cold emailing? What made you go down the route of referrals instead of cold emailing? What made you stick just to doing that instead of using multiple approaches?" Really getting into an understanding of the current situation, what they're doing and what they have been doing. How many leads are you getting a month? How many of them are you converting? What's the average ticket price? You only really want to be going 3 to 4 main questions, and then you can sort of start asking a couple others, like more probing questions if you need to. But when you feel like you've got a good understanding of exactly what situation they're actually in and whether you can help them, that's when you'll move on to the next stage, which is basically helping you understand what their real problems are, the root causes of them, and how those problems are most likely negatively affecting their business. And it's not just for you to understand, it's really also for them to understand how much of a problem it could be if it isn't now. So you want to understand or ask questions about whether they actually like the situation they're in. Have they thought about changing it recently? Do they want to change it? Stuff like that. Just get an understanding, really delve into the problems. Again, it's probably only 2 to 3 questions here, and it's going to be, do you like the results you're getting? If you do, what do you like about them? Have you ever thought about this? Do you want to actually generate more leads and potentially grow the business? It's obviously the most response I get to that is, do bears shit in the woods? Is the Pope Catholic? Is another one. And then the next stage is what probably the most important stage, and it's actually solution awareness. This is where you really do have a deep understanding of exactly what it is they do and what it is they're currently going through from a problem perspective. And then you can make them understand. You can go into the sort of pitch about your solution. I wouldn't say pitch straight away about your solution and exactly how it solves these problems. That's a bit more, that's too, I don't know, that's less consultative and more boiler room, right? What you want to do is have them actually emotionally attach themselves to you solving that problem. Does that make sense? And I suppose more importantly, actually having them solve the problem with you. They've got this problem, they want you to solve it because you're the expert. You know everything about them now and the problems they're having. It's soon to pitch, but we're not going to do it just yet. And if you don't actually go into these questions and start doing this solution awareness phase, you're going to get the this is where the common objections come in later down the line. Like, I want to think it over. I need to keep looking around. I don't have the money. I need to speak to my wife. I need to do more research. I need to get quotes from other companies, whatever it is. Then that's when you go into chase mode and you start convincing them to buy. Remember, that's not how we do it. That's not how I do it anyway. And that's not how I want to teach you to do it. It's about getting them to chase themselves, them convincing themselves that they need this product or service, which in most cases businesses do. If they're on the call with you, they've got some sort of bottleneck within their lead generation and pipeline generation process, sales process, whatever it is that you can actually solve and fill and help them with. So you want to start this phase with something like, so before we actually started talking today, or before you responded to my email, were you out there looking for a solution that will autonomously fill your inbox with leads? Or that's probably a bit too bespoke and tailored. Were you out there looking for a solution or were you out there looking for people to help you with your lead generation? Something like that. And if they say no, you can just go into, okay, what actually prevented you from having a look if you have these problems? But if they say yes, you can just say, oh, what was it that you did? Or what have you been looking for? What have you been looking at? Who have you been speaking to? And then the second part of solution awareness, which is the most important part, and it's just before you transition into actually pitching your, the lead gen system or whatever automation it is you want to be selling these people. You'll say, look, let's do this, right? Just to make sure what we do can actually help you. Besides, obviously, getting leads into your inbox and filling your calendar with meetings, what would be your ideal criteria? What would you actually be looking for, not just in a solution, but in a partner? And that's it. Suddenly they're thinking you're going to be a partner. It's not just a one-night stand or whatever. People want partners. They think, okay, this guy's in it for the long run. He genuinely wants to help. And they'll respond, and you can just say, okay, well, why is that actually important to you? And this is where tonality is really important. You don't want to come across, I don't know what the word is, but you don't want to come across like you're just reading it from a script. Obviously, you probably are, because I'm going to give you the script. But you have to really understand that your tonality is what's going to actually make them want to emotionally open up. You're not just a robot. You need to maybe sometimes be leaning in, hand on the chin, saying, okay, why is that important to you now? And it might be cringy, I'm probably cringing out now a little bit just actually doing it. But the more you do it, the more practice, and the more you'll understand that, okay, shit, this actually works. Ben was right. Of course I'm right. And then you transition. Then, only then is when you start pitching. You've done the groundwork. You understand their problems. You understand their past. You've hung in the air that you've got a potential solution. Now it's time to hammer them with this solution. I say hammer them, it's probably the wrong term, but now it's time to, you've dangled like a cat or whatever, or like candy in front of a baby. You've dangled it, they're wanting it. Okay, they really want it. And then, boom, only then, after you've asked the solution awareness questions, is you give the candy to the baby, because they really want it now. And the way you're going to actually transition is by saying, look, babe, okay, cool. Based off what we've discussed and what you've told me, what we do could actually work for you. And again, we're not going straight in saying this is, what you've just told me, my thing is absolutely amazing for you. It's what it's going to do. It's like, okay, it could actually work for you. Their guard is still down now. That you're not triggering any sales resistance. You're still keeping their guard down. What we do could actually work for you, because you said you're struggling with this and that, and because of that, it's making you feel like the business isn't going to, whatever they said during the consequence question stage, where you said what do you think might happen if you don't do anything? You'll plug that in there and say, oh, because of that, it's making you feel like you're not potentially going to be reaching your targets, or you're not going to reach wherever you want to go. A lot of the time with AI, they say, they're going to be left behind because they think their competitors are all using AI, which they are, and they feel like they're going to get left behind. So a lot of them are now reaching to incorporate AI. And after you say, I think, and you said it's making you feel like you're potentially going to fall short of your targets. Well, what our system does is, and then you go into the features and benefits, and only then, and you sort of match it with whatever problems they've said beforehand. Yeah, we tried cold email. They might have said they tried cold emailing before, but we kept landing in spam. Oh, well, this ultra personalized system is designed to keep you in the inbox. It's to land you in the inbox and keep you in the inbox. Why? Because every email is different, and it's really hard for spam filters to actually trigger and send you into spam, because every email is different. Why'd you land in spam? Because you're sending thousands of the same email to different people who are getting generic emails, getting fed up of them, and just listing them and archiving them as spam. What this does is looks like it's actually been made for that person. They're less likely to put you in spam. They're more likely to respond, which means you're more likely to land in inbox. And you can just keep going on the features and benefits just like that, but only feature and benefit it after you've done the groundwork, the 85% beforehand. And keep it short, keep it really focused on whatever they've discussed beforehand. Don't just start going on a rant about all the features and benefits. Only keep it specific to the problems they've already mentioned. And most of the time, this is going to be a 2-call close. I've already posted a video on my YouTube of a live sales call. That was a 1-call close. But most of the time, if I'm honest, it is going to be a 2-call close. And the way you're going to transition after that is by saying, that was a really good first call. It's given me more of an understanding of the situation you've been in and the situation you're in now compared to actually where you're wanting to go. So I think the next step, if you've got your calendar handy, is to just book us in for a couple days time. We'll deep dive into the system, show you exactly how it will help you and how it's helped our clients previously. Would that help you if we did that? And they're going to say yes, and you're going to book it in. It's really important. Again, make sure you book it in whilst you're on that call. Keep things fresh. Send a detailed overview of the call you've just had after you've finished. So again, you're reiterating that you've heard them, that you understand them, your solution can help them. And yeah, in essence, the goal is when you get to that stage, the presenting stage where you're telling them about your solution, it's to present without presenting. Tailor everything you're about to say to the prospect. Do you know when you get on that call that your solution can help them? Absolutely. It can help anyone. It's a great system. Obviously here I'm talking about the lead gen system. It's incredible. I've scaled my own business with it, and you guys are hopefully now scaling your own business with a cold emailing system. So you'll have confidence in that it works, and then you'll get your first client, second client, third client, testimonials. Everyone will be happy. It's incredible. And you'll have the confidence to actually sit there on the call and do it. But don't fall into the trap of people telling you you're a smooth talker or you got the gift of the gab, or even the opposite. Don't fall into the trap of having some sort of limiting belief in negative mindset because you don't think you can do it. As long as you follow a structured process, a structured script, so to speak, you'll be absolutely fine. It's just about building those sales skills as you go. For some people, it can take years. I don't think it will. I think a few months of just constant sales calls, which you're going to be getting if you're using the lead gen system, you'll eventually pick it up. You'll understand what clients want. Also, you can go away and read some books. There's one called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, which is incredible. You can go look at creators who resonate with you, who are sales specialists, so to speak. If you're from the UK, there's a guy called David Angel who's really good. I've personally actually worked with him before. And there's a guy in America called Jeremy Miner who's also sort of the same. I think he calls it NEPQ, neuro emotional persuasive questioning, where he does what I've just mentioned, opens up the prospect emotionally and gets them to persuade themselves. And soon you'll get that good. You'll have so many people and clients under your belt that are extremely happy with you that you'll then transition from cold emails to asking for referrals. And a lot of your business will be word of mouth, and you won't have to focus so much on cold email, and you'll still do it a little bit, which is, I'm in that transition phase now where I'm asking for referrals from clients that are extremely happy. Well, all my clients, because they're extremely happy with me. And I'm just doing a little bit of cold emailing as well on the side, just to keep that pipeline up and it ticking over. But that's really it. And if you want to get really good at this, it's so important. You can watch all the creators on YouTube teaching you how to build automations, telling you which automations to sell. But if you can't get on a call and articulate that system and know how to actually get a client to persuade themselves instead of you having to be there pushing them to actually buy your service and solution, I hate to say it, but you're not going to do as well as you want to be doing. You're seeing me and other creators making, a fair whack, a decent amount of money, a life-changing amount of money. And it's not just because we're good at building automations. I'm sure some of you watching this are much better than me at building automations, but it's because I can actually get on a call, understand their issues, know that I can solve them, and articulate that whole process extremely well. So if you want to really learn how to do that, I've got a whole course in my community. It's called a Sales Masterclass course. It's got absolutely everything in there. How to sell, what to say. It's got scripts. It's got live sales calls. It's got everything you need to actually succeed in selling these automations to clients. It's everything I wish I had when I started. Not just sales, but everything else that I wish I had when I started. Not just building automations, but selling them, closing clients and keeping them on long term. So if you want to check that out, it's in the link in the description, where we've got a really close-knit community in there. It's really good. And if that sounds like your thing, the link's below. But otherwise, if this helped, drop me a comment, give me a like and subscribe if you're new. I'll reply to all my comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.